friends, and welcome to this week's episode of FTN TV. We are going to be talking about RootsTech because RootsTech 2023 just ended on Saturday, and I was there for the whole thing. It was really great. Before I get into that, I did want to give some updates on Family Tree Notebooks, especially on the masterclass. So those of you who are on my email list probably saw that I opened the masterclass up for enrollment, and that was great. That was really exciting. Lesson learned. That was probably the dumbest thing I could have done the day before RootsTech. It wasn't even really the day before RootsTech for me because I had media events and different things that were going on. So the day that I opened the course for enrollment last Wednesday was actually my first day of RootsTech. I hit publish, I sent a couple of emails, and then I left for the day so that I could go downtown. I live here in Salt Lake City, and so I just drove downtown, and then I was there at RootsTech. In a perfect world, I think in my vision, I thought that I was going to come home from RootsTech or have some downtime at RootsTech, and I could check in with people, and that I would come home and I'd be doing, write-ups about how the day at RootsTech had gone. So that would be a great time for me to check my computer. This is not what happened. By the time I got home every night, I was exhausted, and I tended to get home very late because there were so many events, so many things going on. I just fell way behind with my emails. I'm really sorry about that. I know a lot of you had questions. You'd reached out. I was able to get most of those emails processed yesterday, so we're back on track, but I do apologize, and I appreciate your patience. I did think that we had sold out on Saturday, but once I sifted through the emails, we're actually still fine. Course enrollment for the masterclass is still open. Right now it's scheduled to close on Friday, on the 10th, on March 10th. So I do appreciate those of you at RootsTech who came up to me, though, because you've bought a seat in the masterclass. It was fun to say hi to you and talk about that and answer your questions. It also made me realize that I have more question answering and things like that to do, and I will be doing that in the email that is going to go out this week. As for RootsTech, so how was RootsTech? RootsTech was great. I think that there was a question on the table about the fact that we had taken this pandemic break because the last RootsTech that I was at in person was the 2020 event. And we went to RootsTech in 2020. And I think it was about a week and a half later that everything just shut down and the schools were shut and businesses were shut and everything kind of went crazy. So, it was on people's minds when we were at RootsTech, but none of us could have predicted what was going to happen or how much of an impact that was going to have and how long of an impact that was going to have. And so I think coming back from that, there was this question of, are people ready to come back? Is this going to be busy? Is it going to be crazy? Is it going to be the same old RootsTech that we all know and love, or is it going to be something different? It was different and it was the same, which is a terrible, terrible sum up, but it was the same in the sense that it was great to see people. It was great to sit in the courses and listen to, some of the most brilliant minds in our field talk about genealogy and family history. It was exciting to hear about all the technological advances that businesses have had in the last 3 years, because there was kind of a, RootsTech has been going on online, but there was sort of a sum up of the last time we were in person, we did this, and now we're doing this from a lot of businesses. And so that was great. What was different was that because it was hybrid, there was this sense that you were at RootsTech, but RootsTech was larger, that it was this worldwide thing. And that, there's this library that they're building, this RootsTech library, where they're hosting all of these classes that you can watch all year. So it didn't feel like you had to be right there taking it all in and, get yourself to be in multiple places at once. It felt like there was going to be time, but that this was just like a great privilege to be there in person for the few things that weren't streamed live. The last time I was there as a speaker and as an ambassador, which is the term that they use for their media group. I was an ambassador again, but this year I didn't speak, but I was there as an exhibitor, as a virtual exhibitor. I didn't have a booth. I just had my information online, but I was sort of walking around with my little business hat on, being Carly of Family Tree Notebooks rather than Carly the speaker. And I liked that. It was one of those things where I thought, am I going to miss speaking if I don't take the opportunity? But it was really fun to talk to everybody about my business. I think I could probably alternate and speak one year and then not speak another. It also meant that I had the opportunity to go to classes. The funny thing is I didn't go to that many classes. I had an entire schedule picked out, and then things would come up, and there were interviews and there were different things that were happening. But the classes that I did go to were great. I just, some little key ideas, things to think about. There was a really interesting point that Joshua Taylor made in his class about making family history accessible to more people. He was talking not only about, how do you engage people? How do you keep them interested? But he talked about the difference between giving somebody a solved puzzle or giving somebody a partially solved puzzle, or, some of the puzzle pieces, and then encouraging them to do the rest of the work. And so he talked about sharing family history with your family in a way that even if you know the end of the story, or you could just do it for them, that if you engage them in the process, the research process and the process of finding things out and putting things together, that they really get into it in a different way. And I thought about that and I was thinking, okay, so, how do we incorporate that using Family Tree Notebooks pages? Maybe that's the difference between handing somebody a finished book, or maybe handing somebody a book where not everything is filled in and you've included pages and some of the pages are blank, and they are able to fill them in on their own time with their own information. It was an interesting thought. I had never really thought about passing on the puzzle. I've always thought about passing on the story. So I liked that. There were other things. I'm going to do a blog write-up of all the little things that I learned. The keynotes were great. It was fun to hear Jordan Sparks sing in person. I had previously seen Mira Ko speak at an event called Clickaway, so I was familiar with her. And these keynotes are available. You can watch them. You can watch the recordings of them. And then, of course, everybody was excited to talk to Sean Astin from Goonies and Lord of the Rings. He was there. He spoke about family and family history and what that has meant to him. He's not an avid genealogist yet, but his daughter's an avid genealogist. So it was interesting to hear him talk about his experience just watching her make these discoveries, and how he has regrets now about how he didn't really listen when his mom was trying to tell him family history. But I feel like that's so common. I did record the expo hall so that you guys could have a sense of what it was like to be there. And that walkthrough video is available on my YouTube channel. I didn't record any of the sessions. You can't record the sessions. Family Search recorded some of the sessions so they could live stream them, but there's no recording in the session. So there's nothing that I could do about, tucking you guys in my pocket and letting you learn from some of these brilliant minds. It's proprietary stuff that they own. So I couldn't give you any of that, but hopefully for those of you who were at home following along, you felt like you were there and that you got something out of RootsTech, the hybrid version. And again, that didn't go away just because the conference ended on Saturday. You can still access a lot of those videos, and the RootsTech library is going to still be up on the Family Search website all year. Some of the other things that were there were some side events. There was a youth night where people came and they had a live band and dancing. They did announce the dates for next year. Next year's a leap year, so it starts on February 29th, which I thought was kind of interesting. But it's really easy to remember that. It's February 29th to March 2nd, which is a better date for me because I had to cut out of RootsTech a little bit early because we had a family birthday this year. Right on top of RootsTech. So yeah, February 29th to March 2nd. That's the next one. I'm already looking forward to it. I mean, it just felt good. It just felt good to be with people and to be sharing not only the fact that we're all nerdy and we like to talk about genealogy, but that feeling of connection and of being just with people and with the community, and that we all are lifting each other up and lifting up each other's businesses and each other's families and discoveries. And people have written books and people have done all this thing. And it was just fun to get it together and just be together. I can't even explain it. A couple of quick stories. I had some moments of really wanting to look back and reflect on the fact that 2019 was my first RootsTech, and how much has changed between 2019 and 2023. So in 2019, I won a ticket from Danny. Oh, I'm going to forget her name, but her handle is Roots to Blossoms. I won a ticket from her and attended my first RootsTech. Didn't know anybody. Knew some of the speakers just from their books or from watching things, but I hadn't actually met anybody, I think, that was at the conference. And on Twitter, Amber Oldenburg, is that her last name? From One Branch at a Time. now I'm getting everybody mixed up. She put on Twitter that she was going to be at a certain place having lunch, and that if people were around and they were welcome to join her. And she'd kind of tweeted some things about like the next gen, the younger genealogists. And so that's part of the reason that I was following her. I ended up meeting up with her for lunch. We were only together for about 20 minutes, but I talked to her about the fact that I do family history in a different way, which, was the family tree notebooks, but they hadn't turned into anything yet. And that I was thinking about starting a blog and sharing some of that, and that I wasn't sure if I should because I'm not a professional genealogist. And she was great about it. She was so encouraging and so sweet about how the community was really fun and it was really open and there was room for everybody, and that she thought that it sounded like there'd be something valuable for me to add. I went home and just a couple days later started an Instagram account, which turned into Family Tree Notebooks. And that Instagram account led to me starting an Etsy shop because people wanted to buy their own copies of the pages. And I think about that now and I just think, 4 years ago, I had no idea, not only that this would become my full-time business, which is crazy because I did not see that coming, but that I would be so enriched by all of these friendships and by this community and by feeling like really exciting things are happening right now in family history. And I not only get to be a part of it, I get to be like standing adjacent to it as it happens for all these different people. It's a huge gift. One of the other things that sort of stuck out to me, I ended up chatting with Tammy from Conference Keeper and Peggy, what's her last name? Lawrence? She's a speaker and she lives in Ohio, and she's actually the first course I took, or the first class I took at RootsTech was Peggy's class on Ohio records. And I remember listening to her and just thinking, she's so brilliant and she's so wonderful and she's so calm and reassuring about the fact that this is a little complicated, but you can do it and it's there and there are people to help you, and here are the resources. And then Tammy's site, Conference Keeper, that was how I found out that SLIG, the Salt Lake Institute of Genealogy, was giving out scholarships for different classes, including one called Intermediate Foundations, which is a bridge between beginning level genealogy and intermediate level genealogy. From her website, I applied for that, ended up winning the scholarship, went to my first SLIG, loved it, went to my second SLIG, and then ended up on the SLIG committee. And from SLIG, I met people where I then ended up joining the California Genealogical Society, and now I'm on the board of that. Like, you can just see how I've moved from 2019 to 2023. I've moved in so many different places in the world of genealogy, but it's not me moving by myself. Like, at every single turn, there's somebody there with their hand out, and I'm taking their hand and they're helping me to the next step. And it's not even like that's a theoretical, oh, the community helped me or people helped me. I mean, I can tell you like the circumstances and the names of these people that have just, handheld me along the way. So what I left RootsTech with was this feeling, it's like overwhelming feeling of gratitude for this community and gratitude for these beautiful people. I don't mean to get all like squishy on you and get all tenderhearted, but that part of it was such a gift. So that was my RootsTech experience, and it was just a good time. And I would encourage you to watch the virtual walkthrough of the expo hall, just because there were so many businesses that were sharing really fun things, and you can see, their booths and kind of get a sense of what they were doing as you watch that. And I would also encourage you to go and look at the RootsTech library and see if there are online classes that you would like to view. It's just a great community. And thanks again for your patience with the masterclass. I don't know what I was thinking. I really don't know what I was thinking. Wonderful things, the launching of the masterclass and attending RootsTech. They did not need to happen on the exact same day. But right now, I have quite a few people signed up. Like I said, I thought that we were sold out, but we're okay. Class starts on March 13th, which is next Monday. I'm so excited for it. I had this whole moment where I was like, maybe I'll release it early. Maybe I'll start. But then I was like, oh my gosh, Carly, calm down. Like, everything in its season, you're almost there. It's just, I'm really excited for people to go through it. And I'm excited to have the Zoom calls and to talk about people and to really get into to what we're doing. Because I feel like I'm really going to see the transformation. I'm actually going to have the chance to watch people put it together and end up with these finished notebooks. And I'm so excited about that. So, okay. Thanks as always for letting me ramble at you. And I will see you next week with another FTN TV.